We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bringing news just for you. It's Tuesday, September 9th here in Seoul. I'm Isujin, and this is News Generation. And joining us today is Minju.
Good morning.
Good morning. Also, Rashida is with us today.
Yes, good morning.
And both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. So it's Tuesday, which means we're going to begin with our keyword news, where we look at a story that has been gaining traction over the past 24 hours. And today's keyword is coffee ban. So one company's rule banning the use of coffee machines in the afternoon has gone viral in South Korea. An employee at a real estate development firm shared a notice online from her company, which stated that office coffee machines will not be available after 4 p.m. The notice said this is to promote employee health and improve sleep quality. This post sparked a heated debate online, with some criticizing the rule as an excessive and unnecessary interference. Others argued that the company isn't obligated to provide coffee for its employees, and that limiting access to things that could be unhealthy is a move that could actually benefit employees' well-being. So this makes me wonder, Rashida, do you think this kind of policy shows concern for employee well-being, or is it overstepping their mark?
So for me, I get that it's coming from a good place, but it also feels a little bit controlling. And at the end of the day, we're adults and we can decide if we want that 4 p.m. coffee or not. So a gentler approach, like offering decaf or reminders, would have been way better than a flat ban.
So I'm a huge fan of decaf. So I feel like that's a really good alternative. So
Yeah.
what's your coffee order usually?
For me, I like iced latte or iced vanilla latte. Yeah,
Cool.
that's my shot.
So what about you, Munju?
Personally, I'm a huge coffee person. I often drink more coffee than I drink water. I mean, I wouldn't recommend my habit. It's very bad for your health, so don't follow my lead. That said, I do see the reasoning behind this policy. It could improve, employees' health, and potentially it will be boosting the overall work productivity. And it's true that companies aren't obligated to provide coffee machines. I mean, it would be grateful if they do, but still it's not obligated. So I think I can understand both perspectives. Yeah.
I agree. So whether you see it as a helpful nudge toward better health or a necessary restriction, this coffee ban has certainly sparked a lively debate about workplace culture and personal choice. And perhaps it will make us all think twice today about our afternoon coffee habits. And that concludes our keyword news for this Tuesday. And as we enter the second day of the work week, we're taking a closer look at a sport that is capturing the hearts of fans across South Korea like never before. So let's take a look at the screen to learn more. Baseball has been a much-loved sport in South Korea since the 1980s, but its popularity has soared in recent years. The energetic cheer culture, the stadium snacks, and the unique fan traditions have all helped set Korean baseball apart from the rest of the world. With games selling out fast, even finding a ticket has become a real challenge for fans. Today on News Generation, we're going to dive into what makes Korea's baseball experience so special and hear from fans who've been part of the action firsthand. So as we just saw in the video, baseball in South Korea has grown to more than just a sport. It's become a full-on fan experience. So while the game has been popular for decades, recent years have seen its popularity skyrocket thanks to the lively cheer culture, stadium snacks, and unique fan traditions that set Korean baseball apart. So before we dive into all this, to start us off, let me ask you, Munju, do you personally like baseball? I think you do because I can tell by your jersey. And have you had a chance to watch a game in person recently?
I love baseball, especially I'm a fan of KT Wiz here and Doosan Bears. Yeah, I represent KT Wiz right now. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to visit the stadium this year because of the work schedules, but I closely follow both the KBO and Major League Baseball. And last year, I had the opportunity to, broadcast the KT Wiz games as a dedicated sportscaster on a sports platform. So basically, I broadcasted from their opening series to the very last game of their postseason. Although I don't go often to the stadiums due to my work schedule, I make sure to catch most of the games throughout broadcasts. Yeah.
That's really interesting that you're a sportscaster, so you're an expert among us today.
Yeah.
So how was it different the way you view baseball now that you've been a sportscaster?
Yeah, sometimes they're saying like, if you do the things that you like as a work, it kind of seems differently. I think I felt that last year. I have to be more analytic. So I think that was the most hard part of watching baseball and broadcasting the baseball.
I see. And what about you, Rashida? Are you a fan?
Okay, so like baseball isn't really active in Brunei, and so I didn't know much about it before I came here. But after coming to Korea, I went to the stadium twice with a friend. Well, I don't know much about the game, but it was fun. It was really fun.
Do you remember who you watched that time?
I watched Kium and LG Twins.
Oh, I see. That's very cool. So baseball in South Korea seems to have experienced a major surge in popularity in recent years, but this isn't a sport that just appeared overnight. Families across the country, mine included actually, have been passionately supporting their favorite teams for a generation. So the question is, Rashida, how much has baseball's popularity truly grown over the years?
Okay, so pro baseball in Korea started in 1981, and ever since then, the crowds have just kept growing. Back in 1982, there were about 1.4 million fans, and by 2016, that number jumped to 8.3 million. The pandemic slowed things down, but in the past 3 years, the numbers have bounced back to 6 million in 2022, 8.1 million in 2023, and last year hit over 10 million for the first time ever.
Wow.
So this year, the season isn't even finished yet, and it's already past 10 million, surpassing last year's record, leaving 85 games in the league, and is aiming for 12 million.
12 million sounds like a crazy number. And also surpassing that mark for spectators is really impressive. And that's a huge milestone for pretty much any sport. But I'm curious, so how does baseball's popularity compare to other sports here in Korea, Moonju?
So baseball has consistently been the most popular sport here in South Korea over the past several years. As of 2023, the average attendance per game reached 11,000, making it the clear number one among all sports nationwide. And its popularity becomes even more evident when you compare this to soccer, the second most attended sport, which averaged around 6,500 attendees per game. What's especially notable is baseball's growing appeal among the MZ generation. As you can see from our screen here, over 50% of professional baseball ticket buyers were in their 20s and 30s. Specifically, 38% were in their 20s and 26% were in their 30s, adding up to 64% in total. And I think this marks a significant shift considering baseball was, once viewed as an old school sport. And primarily only attracting older fans, but this current trend reflects a remarkable evolution in its fan base.
So I'm sure there are plenty of reasons why people are so drawn to Korean baseball, from the thrilling games to the food and the atmosphere. But one thing that really stands out, I think, is Korea's unique cheering culture at the stadium. So can you tell us what that kind of looks like?
Yeah, of course. So watching baseball games here in South Korea live at the stadium has become a form of, entertainment culture. One of the most enjoyable aspects is fans, enthusiastically joining in like synchronized chants and dances, often with, matching props, creating a very lively atmosphere. Those who frequent the stadiums often become familiar not only with their own team's cheers, but also with those of the opposing teams. And it's also common for parents to bring their young children, making baseball game a family-friendly experience. And in many cases, this is how fandom is passed down through generations. That said, it's not always the case. My dad and I, for example, cheer for rival teams that share the same stadium, the LG Twins and Doosan Bears. So when these two teams play, there's another game going on in my place. Trust me, there is one. And wearing team merchandise like jerseys or headbands, and taking group photos to share online has become a popular trend among fans.
So I can relate to this. So I live from my grandparents' time. Like we've been supporters of Doosan Bears.
Yeah.
So I've almost been kind of forced to be a Doosan fan. So I'm curious, so since you and your dad support different teams, where do you guys sit when they play against each other?
If I sit in the LG Twins, I would never go to stadium.
Oh, so you have
I think that kind of answers the question, right?
I see. And of course, we can't talk about baseball games without mentioning the food. So what kinds of foods can fans enjoy at the stadiums, Rashida?
Okay, so another thing I love about going to baseball games is all the food you can enjoy while watching. So yeah, of course, while there's the classic chicken and beer, but these days I heard that you can even grill pork belly on the spot. And or even kupchang, which is the pork intestine. And there's also spicy rice cake, tteokbokki, lots of desserts. And in some stadiums, you can even order online and just pick it up, so you don't need to wait in line. So since games usually last about 3 to 4 hours, you're busy cheering, eating, and drinking, and the time flies by so fast that it feels almost too short. Yeah.
Next time you go to a game, is there anything you want to try?
I haven't tried. Maybe grilling some meat would
That
be
sounds fun.
Yeah.
Right? Pork belly, pork intestines.
Yeah.
So we've explored the many aspects of Korea's baseball culture that have fueled its popularity, from the passionate cheering to the delicious stadium food. But we also wanted to hear from our viewers, so we ran a poll on the Arirang News YouTube channel asking what makes Korean baseball stadiums special. So we showed that the biggest draw of Korean baseball is its cheering culture, which accounted for 52% of the responses. So this was followed by the variety of snacks and food at 37%, while uniforms and merchandise came in at 7%. The remaining 4% cited other factors. And to also gain a broader perspective, we'll also speak with a young person from the US who has lived in Korea to hear their thoughts on the differences and similarities between the baseball culture in the two countries. So that conversation will take place right after the break, so don't go anywhere.
NewsGen wants to hear from you. Go to YouTube and search our channel Arirang News. Click Community and leave a comment down below. Make a new type of news with us.
Joining us today is Brandon, a baseball fan from the US who's currently in Washington, D.C. right now. So hi, Brandon. Thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
So you had the chance to go to a baseball stadium in Korea when you were here. So what was your first impression of baseball stadiums in Korea, and what kind of stood out to you the most?
I think they're just different in a good way. Stadiums are bigger, they're cleaner, there's a lot more fans, they're great food, there's cheerleaders, there's chants. You can bring food in, you can order food to your seat. It's cheaper, and everything is cheaper compared to the States. So like getting good seats in Korea is much cheaper. The food is much cheaper, and that's one of the greatest things about it. And there's a lot of community. Everyone knows the dances, everyone celebrates together. It's just really community based.
Yeah, I do completely agree with you. You just briefly mentioned, but how would you describe baseball culture in the US, and how does it differ from those from South Korea?
I think Korea is more in like a play way. Like in the States, if a team wins or if a team does bad, there could be stuff happening outside, or how US can be. But in Korea, even if your team loses, people are not rowdy. If your team wins, people are not rowdy. Everyone is there to have a good time, and it's more safer, more family friendly, and people are just there to have fun and just cheer for their team, whether they win or lose.
So yeah, I do actually I've been to baseball game in Korea. I am curious as well, how it's like in the States. So I would want to experience that and get to know the culture better. So, in your opinion, is there anything you would like to see added or improve at baseball stadiums in Korea or in the States?
In the States, we need the cheerleaders. We need the chants. We need some food. I want some tteokbokki. I want everything there. Everything that they do in Korea, we need to bring over to the States and just make it more fun and family friendly. Like I know in Incheon, I think at the Incheon Stadium, they have a whole section just is dedicated for like a family fun zone. We don't really have that here. So if you had children or something and you wanted to watch the game, you couldn't really do that. But in like Incheon, you can watch the game and take care of your family. Just being a community is what's really good about it. And I really wish they bring that kind of things to the States.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So we just heard from a fan in the US who has experienced baseball in Korea and shared his impressions of the stadium atmosphere, the cheering culture, and what stood out to him the most. And we've talked about all the exciting and fun aspects of Korean baseball, Moonji, but as things can get pretty rowdy, as we just talked about, it's also important to talk about stadium etiquette. And you're also a dedicated sportscaster, so I'm sure you have a lot to say in this. So are there any rules or tips that you'd like to point out?
Yeah, definitely. Baseball has been the most visited sports here in South Korea for the past years, as we've seen like as a number previously. But you know, recently there have been also several issues considering the etiquette between fans and players on both sides, making it all the more important to address the topic even briefly. You know, this is like we are in the SNS social networking service era, so there are so many problems with those, but also it's a stadium part. In terms of stadium etiquette, some fans have been approaching, you know, players inappropriately to request autographs, often rushing toward them without the regard for boundaries. I think this is especially common in parking lots where players board team buses after games, a time and a place that calls for the extra caution. So to address the safety concerns, teams like SSG Lenders based on Incheon and Samsung Lions based on Daegu already banned autograph requests in these areas, and other 8 franchises have followed this by posting, you know, warning signs to remind fans to respect the safe and prioritize the safety. So I think it is always important to, you know, respect their privacies, both offline and online the stadium. And I think kind of you have to respect, fans have to respect players, and players also have to respect fans. So I think keeping this is very important, not even in baseball, but in general in the sports industry. Yeah.
So what would you say is like your favorite aspect of the baseball culture in Korea then?
You know, Brendan just mentioned cheerleaders, chants. You know, I mean, most fans are visiting baseball stadiums not because of like just to watch the games, but it's just experience itself is very enjoyable. It's very exciting. You can have a quality time with friends and families. So I think it's a great opportunity to get close with each other, even family. Like in my case, I visited the stadium with my dad a lot when I was in middle school or high school. And
you said with the Doosan Bears and not the LG.
No, of course, Doosan Bears. Yeah, that was kind enough to sit in the Doosan Bears seat. But anyways, you know, that kind of made kind of tightened my the relationship between my dad and myself. So I think that kind of shows why families and parents are bringing their kids to the baseball stadiums, and also friends. You can enjoy a lot with, eat a lot. You know, you can drink some beers. So I think it's a great opportunity and great place to like spend some quality time with your friends and families.
I agree. I think that's what's really special about baseball games in Korea is that you can enjoy it with. It's such a family atmosphere. It's also something you can do with your friends as well.
True.
So what about you? You've been to a game. I think when did you last go, and what was the favorite part of it?
I actually like the cheering part because it's not something that I see all the time, and they were so enthusiastic, even including the dance. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, and Korean cheerleader, their dances have also gone viral for good reason too, right?
I mean, that was very. You know what very interesting was in the COVID-19 pandemic series, KBO was broadcast in the United States, and the American fans were all into like cheerleaders, and they were like, as Brendan just mentioned, we should have cheerleaders in United States also. I think that kind of shows how Korean baseball entertainment, you know, that culture has been like unique compared to other United States or Japan's baseball culture.
Yeah, so actually when a friend visited me from the US, he actually pointed the same thing that Brendan just pointed out, which was that like even if you're losing, it's still a really positive atmosphere.
Exactly.
I don't know if you've noticed. I think that's pretty great too.
Yeah.
And of course the food as well. So from the electrifying cheers to the tasty stadium snacks and unique fan traditions, it's clear why baseball has captured the hearts of so many in Korea. So whether you're a lifelong fan or visiting for the first time, there's something unforgettable about the experience. So next time you're at a game, don't forget to soak in the atmosphere, cheer along, and maybe try some of those iconic stadium snacks. And this brings us to the end of today's episode of News Generation, but News Gen will be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Korea time. Big thanks to Moonju.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks for coming in. Also, Rashida.
Always a great time to be here.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have the best day. We are News
Generation.